All right. The name is Dale, doing a review for the new Eminem, The Death of Slim Shady. Now, before I start, I'm going to say this, give a disclaimer. I am not an M hater. I am a fan of some of his music. I respect him, and I think he's a great rapper. He can rap his ass off. He's very technical. But he's not in my top 10, and probably not even in my top 20. And that's no disrespect. I haven't even sorted out my, 20 to 11 ranking as of yet. Always just do the top 10. But as far as 11 to 20, I haven't even sorted that out in my mind, who's in my ranking. And when it goes to that, to the next 10, I haven't even parsed that out. I believe one of his folks, Royce the 5'9", would probably be in my top 20, but I'm not sure if M would make it. With that being said, I had no high hopes for this album. Listening to a few podcasts that I listened to, a few rap podcasts I listened to before I actually listened to this album, they were saying, yeah, it's good, nothing great. They were saying this is his best work in a long time. They was giving him that. So, okay, it's his best work in a long time since I think they were saying since Recovery. This is his best work. I was like, all right. So that's a little promising. Okay, all right. But then when I listened to it, I was like, this ain't no better than the last previous albums. I think Music to Murder By and Kamikaze, I think all these albums are on the same level. I think this album is on the same level as those two albums. I even think Kamikaze is a little better than this joint. So I totally disagree with them with saying this is the best work he's done in a long time. Now, I've only listened to it once, so maybe I got to give it more listens to make that give it a full judgment on how it compares to those previous two, but it felt the same to me. Listening to those two and how I listen to this one, I like about the same amount of songs. There's more songs on the joints that I don't like than I do like. Let's put it that way. And with this Death of Slim Shady, it seems like he's like spitting in the face of political correctness. He's spitting in the face of wokeness. He's spitting in the face of cancel culture. He's just saying a bunch of wild shit. That shock value that he gave us back in the day. He's rehashing that type of shit. That's the Slim Shady character, alter ego, I'm guessing. And the one pet peeve problem I had with this album, he just mentions Chris Reeves' name entirely too much. I mean, the dude has been dead for I don't know how long, and he's mentioned him over and over. I mean, it seems like he says his name more than anybody, and he does a lot of name dropping on this album, but he just constantly repeats his name, and in a few songs he said his name like more than once. I'm like, okay, what's his obsession with Chris Reeves? Maybe I'm gonna have to listen to it again. Maybe it's some logic behind it. Maybe I gotta, really get immersed into what he's actually saying in the lines. But I was like, why is he saying this dude name so much? That irritated me. That was a turn off. The production, people always said Nas was one of the worst beat pickers. I think I always believe M was worse, 10 times worse, in my opinion. But the production is not bad on here. It's not bad. It's better than I expected, but it's not great by any means. It was only a few standouts, a few standout songs to me. I like the first song, Renaissance, starts the album. Like the first three songs are good. I'm like, oh, this is going to be better than I thought. And then kind of like goes downhill after the third song. But I like the first track, Renaissance. I like the second joint, Habits, which features a White Gold. I think he's singing on the chorus. I like the singing on the joint. The joint is tight. Then you got the third track, which is Trouble. This is another joint I like. I really like it, but it's short as shit. It's only like 42 seconds. And this is one of them tracks. This is one of the best beats on the album, and he didn't produce this joint. Like Eminem had a hand in most of the production on his album, but he didn't do any. He didn't have no hand in this one. I think is if I'm going off the top of my head, I think it's Dem Joints. A dude named Dem Joints, and or if that's a collective, I'm not sure. And Fred Wreck, they did the production for Trouble, and that was like the best beat on this album. One of them anyway. And it was only a 40-second song. He goes in though, M goes in on it for only 42 seconds or how many so. But you got Fuel, which features J.I.D. That's one of the better songs on there. J.I.D. gets his man, M does his thing. Great song. Then you got Toby, which he has a video for. I haven't even seen the video, I just know he does. Which features Big Sean and Baby Tron. And I like this joint. It's basically a damn near drumless beat, but it works. I really like it. You know, I'm not a big fan of drumless, just sample or music joints, but I like the way they did this joint. Big Sean got his man. I like the hook. It's a good joint. And the joint, he got like a song at the end. I don't know if it's a bonus because it comes after kind of like the outro. Well, I'm considering the outro. And it's a song where he's featuring Jelly Roll. I forgot the name of the joint, but that song is not bad either. That's a solid joint too. More of a serious joint. I think he talked about his daughter, the love for his daughter, whatever the case may be. I could be wrong on that, but that's a solid joint. So man, it's not that many standout joints on here. It's like maybe a few other songs that I like, but overall, it's more on here I won't listen to than I will. So I'm gonna give this joint a C. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a C, maybe a C plus. C plus is at best, but I think it's a C. And like, I don't think Eminem has a classic album in his discography, in my opinion. I know people tend to say the Marshall Mathers LP is a classic. Some say his first album when he was actually signed, because he had an album before he got signed to Aftermath. I think it was called Infinite, that I never heard before. But the first album that we know him as and got introduced to him as on the whole, the Slim Shady album, some people say that's a classic. I disagree. I disagree with Marshall Mathers, the LP, being a classic. Some even say his third joint, the Eminem Show, is a classic. I think that's his best album so far, I believe, but I don't think it's a classic. So he's always had, you know, good songs on these joints, but overall they just never, the album never impressed me. Even back then I never thought they was classics. I actually liked them albums back then better than I do now. As the years went on, they didn't age well. I don't think none of those albums aged well, the first three albums, especially the Slim Shady joint. I don't think that aged well at all. Still only like a few joints from there I still listen to this day. So I disagree with him having a classic. I think sometimes people feel like they have to give him a classic because he can rap so good and he's sold so many units. He's famous, ultra popular, and he's well respected among his peers for the most part. So I think people feel like they have to give him a classic album, but I don't think he has one. But that's the end of this review. Oh, I forgot to give Common and Pete Rock, the Auditorium Volume 1, a grade. I always seem to forget to give grades at the end of reviews from time to time. That's an A. That's the album you should be listening to. But nevertheless, not a bad album. I mean, C is not bad, I guess. Some people's eyes it may be, but it's some joints on here. And like I say, I respect him. He rapping his ass off on this joint. It just kind of gets a little silly and redundant with some of the shit he doing, but he has the wordplay, there's no doubt about that. But I'm done, I'm finished, and that's it.
Look. Mission impossible to drop a few lines without dropping old times when Southern Hill was still a gold mine. When pistol grips was my shit and I sold mine. When Alias was not a show and they told mine.
Elevate your mind with high quality THC infused products. BlackYeti.com. Black-Yeti.com.